Reactions to the new Star Wars show Ahsoka has been kind of mediocre at best. Right now I have the Rotten Tomato score and it has it at a 71% amongst audiences, which is not terrible, but at the same time it's nothing great either. And this was supposed to be something spectacular because it was the first time showing live action Thrawn, and it basically just kind of fell flat, or at least people weren't too jazzed about Dave Filoni's interpretation of the character. And now we got some new comments, or some resurfaced comments coming from the creator of Thrawn himself, Timothy Zahn, and what he would have actually done with the show. So scrolling down into this article from Screen Rant talking about it, I mean, I'm not going to read his whole comment, but I mean, this is kind of what he had to say when asked about it. I think it was a year or two ago. And this is what he said. The question was what I would do to bring Thrawn back after 9 years of vanishing. It seems to me that what we need to do was set up some kind of reluctant buddy thing between Thrawn and Ezra. The way I see it is that Thrawn persuades Ezra that there are worse things out there than even the Empire. The Empire has a whole bunch of rebels fighting against it. This is something that you and you alone can help us defeat. So if Thrawn can persuade Ezra to work with him reluctantly, probably, but I think that would be the basis for the story. And that actually would make it a lot more interesting too, because you have two people who are obviously adversary to each other, but they have to work together for a common goal, where all the while they're not, or at least Ezra himself is not necessarily sure about what's Thrawn's motive and everything, and how much he should actually be participating and how much he should be helping Thrawn. And it also showcases Thrawn's ability to actually manipulate and kind of be a little bit more smarter and more of a tactical genius, and with the way he can actually manipulate people and things like that, which would make more of an interesting dynamic. And especially with what they were doing with the show Ahsoka, is it makes more of a stake with the fact that they have to, if in order to bring Ezra back, it'd almost have to bring Thrawn back as well. So there's more of a dilemma there versus how they tried to present it within the show. And a lot of this, according to this article, ultimately comes down to the way Timothy Zahn and Dave Filoni interpret the character of Thrawn, because Dave Filoni kind of goes about Thrawn as more of a cartoony villain type thing, whereas Zahn has more of a subtle approach to him, because Thrawn was someone who was around, who predates the Empire, and he was in the Navy before the Empire was established. He was a Grand Admiral with the Empire, and he has more knowledge than a lot of the people, so he knows that there's more dangers out there besides the Empire. And this would lend more credibility to his claim to Ezra, which would make more of an interesting dynamic, at least in my opinion. But so far, it seems like audiences just didn't get this type of version of him. It wasn't the tactical genius. It was more or less just a cartoony villain who apparently keeps failing his plans, but it also goes about it as if everything is part of his plan, which, I mean, in a way, that's almost like the dumb person's view of a smart person, where it's like they get captured and it's like, yes, I intended to get captured. And you try to actually look at their plan. It's like, okay, this doesn't make sense, or this only worked through convenience of writing and whatnot. I mean, it's just, in other words, it's just bad writing. But I mean, the whole point of this is it was supposed to be something spectacular, and apparently just audiences didn't care for it. And that's why we see things like the ratings just didn't do too well. I mean, it started off kind of strong, but I mean, most new shows, if it has any big release, is going to chart on the Nielsen charts, but then it fell off pretty quickly. I mean, it fell down the ranks, and I think it started off at number 2 or on the Nielsen charts. Maybe I was wrong. It might have been 5. I can't remember exactly, but then it fell to number 7 spot in the original category. And in the overall category on the Nielsen charts, it just fell off completely. And now we also have news that it's up in the air whether they're going to get a second season of this, because other shows like The Mandalorian and Andor, I mean, those were established out of the gate that they're going to have a couple seasons of them. Mandalorian had 2 seasons before they decided to renew it. But for Ahsoka, they're kind of playing it loose, whether they're actually going to make another season of it, or whether it's just going to lead up into the previously announced Dave Filoni movie. I mean, or assuming that that movie is actually going to get made. I mean, I think it still is right now, even though they probably shouldn't. But I mean, it's not a good sign when the show's over and they're still not sure whether they're going to continue with it or not. One thing that Disney is trying to do is actually generate some buzz around the character of Ahsoka, because as it stands, a lot of the people who watched this and liked it were fans of the Ahsoka character, but a lot of regular Star Wars fans don't actually know who the character of Ahsoka is. And this last weekend, since Disney has the rights to actually broadcast some of their movies on various TV platform or TV channels like FX. They had a Star Wars marathon on both days. That was on the 7th and 8th, so Saturday and Sunday. And these are the lineup of movies that they had. And each day they had the Clone Wars playing on it. And it seems kind of weird that they're going to have the original trilogy in the Clone Wars and then the prequel trilogy in the Clone Wars. I mean, to me, it almost looks like they're trying to generate some buzz around the character of Ahsoka because, yeah, general audiences don't even know who she is. And it's asking a lot to try to say, like, watch all Clone Wars, watch all Rebels in order to understand this show. I mean, I think they're trying to have the Clone Wars movie as just a way to kind of get their foot in the door. Like, oh no, Ahsoka is an established character. It's not a completely original character, because to most normie Star Wars fans, Ahsoka is just an original character and they didn't care for her. So while hardcore fans of Clone Wars and Rebels actually like the show Ahsoka, or at least those seem to be the audience members who are giving it good reviews, it seems like that's really a small subsect of the Star Wars fan base. And if they want to continue to make something with Ahsoka, they need to bring more people into the fold, which so far it hasn't done, or they need to severely lower the budget, because with what they've been paying to actually make these shows, it doesn't seem sustainable for what they're trying to do. At least that's what I think about all this. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with the latest news. Thank you.